Okay, good morning, and thanks for joining me for the October installment of our Do One Thing Well webinar series. My name is Andrew, and I'm a solution architect with Esri Ireland. This morning I'm going to be looking at some simple tips and tricks to make your ArcGIS Enterprise contents more easily discoverable by your users. Let's just have a look at our agenda this morning. First off, I'm going to share two noteworthy enhancements to the ArcGIS platform. I'm going to go through 9 tips for making content discovery easier for your users, one use case for ArcGIS collaboration, and a simple demo of configuring ArcGIS collaboration. So first off, some new and noteworthy updates to the platform. ArcGIS is constantly evolving, and new features and enhancements are regularly being released. One of my favorite enhancements to ArcGIS Enterprise recently is Webhooks. Webhooks were released in Enterprise 10.7. Webhooks are an IT standard mechanism for creating loosely coupled integrations between applications. Using a broker service such as Microsoft Flow, Zapier, or IFTTT, actions taken on your ArcGIS Enterprise can trigger events with the broker service, which can then interact with that and decide on a course of action based on the content of the trigger and orchestrate workflows in other systems. So for example, if a content item is added to your ArcGIS Enterprise, Webhooks can initiate a workflow to send an email or an SMS to team members to inform them about this new item. I'd encourage you to check out Webhooks, and I'll include some relevant links in our webinar handouts. Another new and notable favorite is Survey 123 map appearances. Survey 123 is Esri's form-based mobile survey application. Surveys are defined using the XLS form standard. The survey application is constantly implementing new features and is on a frequent release cycle. Image map appearance allows users to select an answer to a question based on clickable images. For example, selecting a type of pipe fitting or identifying damage on a rental vehicle, selecting a lawn variety, or even selecting body parts. Details of this and many other ongoing enhancements to Survey 123 are available in the What's New in Survey 123 webpage. Again, I'll include a link to this in our handout. Okay, so that's just 2 examples of great new functionality added to the ArcGIS platform recently. There's a lot more, so check out the What's New pages on arcgis.com. Now to the main part of today's webinar, making content discovery in your ArcGIS Enterprise easier for your users. A lot of effort goes into creating great content, and down the years I've seen a lot of that content which just missed that last step, making it clear to the users, both the GIS experts and the more casual users, exactly how relevant that content is and what its provenance is. Like all searches, the problem is often knowing which of the results are relevant and which can be ignored. In my example here, I've exaggerated a little bit, but I'm sure we've all seen similar search results. It's difficult to tell if V1 is the correct one or V3 or the planning applications marked final. Which is useful? Clicking into the item can often lead us no more information. Imagine if Google regularly returned ambiguous results. Of course, Google's magic, right? Well, no, Google's clever, but there's a whole industry that's grown up around search engine optimization. SEO ensures that you have the correct metadata, tags, and categorizations to boost your chances of being top ranked result on Google. How many times does anyone ever go to page 2 or 3 of Google results? So let me share 9 tips for making content easier to discover and more relevant to your users. Apply a good naming convention. The name of your web service should describe its contents. It's best to use plain English. There should be enough information in the name to quickly identify the web service and ascertain its content. Avoid underscores and abbreviations. Adopt a naming standard that suits your organizations. Keep it simple and stick to it. Add relevant short and long descriptions. These should be added as early as possible in the workflow, preferably when publishing from ArcGIS Pro, but additional comments and details can be added in Enterprise's browser interface. Add a thumbnail. Again, try and keep the style consistent. Here I've used an Esri supplied local government pack, which includes a PowerPoint containing suggested layout for your thumbnails. The layout has room for your organization, what's being shared. So again, if it's shared with all users, just internal staff, or if it's a private group. Modifying the logo from this PowerPoint is easy. Text and images can be supplied. You can create clean and consistent thumbnails for your content. I'll include a link to the local government pack in our handout, and I'd be interested in any feedback you have. Add relevant tags. Tagging your content allows ArcGIS search engine rank the results. Many of my tips are about ensuring your content appears meaningful to your users. While tags help here, they also greatly aid to the search engine. As you're applying descriptions, tags, and thumbnails, you'll also notice that the information bar progresses towards complete. If you click Learn More, you'll see additional suggestions, thumbnails, descriptions, titles, etc. Flag content as authoritative or deprecated as relevant. In ArcGIS Enterprise, in the settings for your content item, you can mark authoritative or deprecated. Marking as authoritative will also check the delete protection option. Delete protection makes it harder for content to be accidentally deleted. A user must go in, untick the delete protection before they can delete an item. You can also define the extent from the same page. If you edit extent, you get a map view allowing you to narrow the extent for this content. This is useful when searching for content within a current extent, which uses the map view's current extent to filter results. So let's just have a look at where we started. This was a planning application dataset with very little information set up. I think you'll agree that it's a little more appealing now that we've added some basic metadata, a nice thumbnail, some descriptions, and some tags. Your user profile is how others learn about you. It's a measure of the value and veracity of your shared items. It's a good idea and a best practice to show your best profile if you want others to consider your content seriously. Content items will always show a link to their publisher. A blank user profile is, well, it's underwhelming. A properly completed profile will increase your users' confidence in the content they're viewing. I'd encourage all users, especially those publishing content, to take a few minutes and fill out their profile. Profiles can be filled out in the Enterprise Change Profile page. You should select who can see your profile. You should set that to public so that everybody can see your profile. And one note is that the bio section doesn't actually include a WYSIWYG or HTML editing. It does, however, allow the use of HTML decimal codes to insert line feeds, mail symbols, phone symbols, etc. Content categories can help your users when browsing rather than searching your organization's content. Let me have a quick look at content categories. Here you can see I have browsed into my organization's content. We have no content categories already set up, so there's just all our content is ranked. However, if I go to my organization as an administrator, I need to go organization, settings and items, and then I can create content categories. There are a number of content categories already set up for you: Inspire categories, ISO categories, ArcGIS categories, or indeed you can specify your own nested categories. For this demo, I'm just going to use the predefined ArcGIS categories. Let me save that and go back to my content item and make a few selections here within the item. So once I have content categories configured, I now have a new option to categorize my content. I'm just going to put this into new and noteworthy for this demo. And let me pick another item. I'll pick these wind farms. And again, just for the demo, I'll add that into current events and into utilities. So let's see what effect that has had if I go back to the content. For my organization. Again, I have all my content displayed, but now if I browse, I can see two items under trending, one of them under new and noteworthy, which is the planning applications, and one of them under current events. I also added the wind farms into a second category. They're in here under infrastructure and utilities. So again, it allows your users browse your catalog more simply. My ninth and final tip is formal metadata. What we've looked at so far is fairly informal metadata, tags, descriptions, names, bios, etc. But if your organization needs formal metadata, again, within items, you can enable formal metadata. A number of options are already available to you: Inspire, ISO, North American profile, and an FGDC profile. If I select that ISO profile and go back to my content, if I pick my wind farms again, I can now see under the metadata button that I can start metadata editing within ArcGIS Enterprise, and all the relevant fields are there for me to edit. So formal metadata is something you need. That's the place to go. Okay, on to collaboration. Collaboration lets you share your maps and data externally for others to use. You can also receive maps and data from other organizations for use internally. The following items can be shared. There are two types of sharing with ArcGIS collaboration: copies and references. Copies takes a full copy of your item and its data and creates a replica in the destination portal. References creates a new content item in your destination portal, which refers back to your original item in your base ArcGIS Enterprise installation. In the case of references, users of the destination enterprise will also have to have access to your internal enterprise in order to consume the content. For example, both organizations are on the same network, or if your enterprise is externally facing. We'll work through a specific use case shortly, that of an organization with an internal ArcGIS Enterprise deployment wishing to make use of collaboration to share content publicly without having to configure externally facing web services, without defining complex firewall rules or deploying components into the DMZ, allowing traffic to access from the internet to access their internal enterprise. Only feature classes can be replicated with a data copy. Other types, such as map or tile services, must be shared as references. Here's some common patterns for collaboration. One-to-one between enterprise portals or between enterprise and online. Between many enterprise to enterprise, where multiple enterprise portals will collaborate with one central portal, or multiple enterprise portals between online and enterprise, many enterprise portals collaborating with a single ArcGIS and online organization. For our use case, we want to collaborate from our internal facing ArcGIS Enterprise to ArcGIS Online. We're going to make use of a collaboration to easily share the content with ArcGIS Online and from there share with the public. This is an approach we've implemented with a number of customers, and indeed a number of our customers have implemented on their own. One of the main advantages to this approach is that you're leveraging Esri's cloud infrastructure to make your content available publicly. Your IT department does not need to deploy servers with sufficient capacity to cope for demand or worry about failover. That's all being handled by ArcGIS Online. Let's have a look at how collaboration is configured. There's always a host and a guest in an ArcGIS collaboration. In our case, where we're collaborating with ArcGIS Online will always be the host and will issue the initial invitation. Collaboration is based on establishing trust between the collaborators. A collaboration workspace is then created and groups within the workspace. The collaboration is always defined in terms of the guests sharing. So the guest is going to send content, or the guest is going to receive content, or the guest will send and receive content. In our example, we'll send content items from the guest to ArcGIS Online. Synchronization is scheduled when the configuration collaboration is done. Items placed in the relevant group in the guest will be reflected in the host in its relevant group. In our case, a complete copy of the guest content will be transferred to ArcGIS Online for sharing. So let's have a look at the steps required to actually set this up. Here I am on ArcGIS Online. I'm logged in as an administrator in my organization. I'm going to settings and collaborations, and I'm going to create a new collaboration. You need to supply some details, including collaboration name and description. A workspace name within that collaboration and a description for that workspace. A group name again within that workspace. Set up the group with some relevant tags. And here I'm going to select copies only because I want to, or copies if possible. As I mentioned, it needs to be a feature service and it needs to be enabled. In order to invite my guest, I need to save an invitation file, and you can see invitation is now pending. So let me move over to my ArcGIS Enterprise instance. Again, I'm logged in as an administrator. I'm going to organizations and settings again. And within collaborations, I'm then going to accept the invitation. The invitation file in my case has just been saved to my local laptop, but it could be shared via a secure share between organizations. Once I accept that invitation, I'm prompted to save a response. It's important to RSVP. Back over to ArcGIS Online, I can now look at the invitation pending and accept the guest organization. Once again, I need to pick up the response file that my guest organization has created. And this establishes the trust between ArcGIS Online and the guest organization. The guest organization has now been status has been changed to active. Back over in my ArcGIS Enterprise, I just need to finish configuring the collaboration by joining a workspace and creating a new group within my guest organization. And again, I'm going to use copies. Check the synchronization and join the workspace. So now I've successfully joined the workspace. Collaboration is a one-off setup. The effect of setting it up means that when I go to, in this case, my All Island Wind Farm content item, I can then share it, simply share it from my ArcGIS Enterprise into the collaboration group that I've set up, wait for the sync to happen. And once we've synced, this is back to my ArcGIS Online, the equivalent group. We can see that my content has now been synced in here. All my metadata has come across with it. It's marked as a collaboration. So that's really what I wanted to bring you through today, is how relatively quick it is to set up a collaboration and how relatively useful. Let's just have a quick recap of what we looked at today. We've seen the ArcGIS platform is constantly evolving, so keep an eye on the what's new pages. The more context, tags, metadata you add to your content item, the easier it will be for your users to access the best of your content. The easier it'll be for ArcGIS Enterprise to suggest that to them. The best time to add the appropriate information is when you're publishing content. Content categories allow users to browse for content. Encourage your users to fill out their profiles, especially those publishing content. And collaboration is a powerful tool. We've seen just one example here where we're sharing content from our internal enterprise into ArcGIS Online for public access without worrying about all the IT necessary to do so. Thanks for your time today. Please email your questions and comments to mapsmakesense@esriireland.ie. Slides and links will be available from our SlideShare, and a recording of this webinar will be available on YouTube. We'll send out links to that. Our next webinar is on the 13th of November, and it's taking a geographic approach to machine learning. So once again, thank you for your time. Look forward to hearing your comments.